In the dim light of an ancient forest, shadows flicker, and the air feels thick with secrets. Here, in the heart of the wilderness, stories whispered by the wind come to life. These stories are not of heroes and happy endings, but of creatures that send shivers down the spine. These are the beings that haunted the dreams of our ancestors, the monsters that lurked in the darkness, waiting to be seen. Long ago, people gathered around fires, their faces glowing with fear and fascination as they listened to tales of creatures beyond their understanding. These beings, born from the fears and mysteries of the natural world, took shape in the minds of those who heard about them. They were more than just stories, they were warnings, explanations, and sometimes, the embodiment of the very things that frightened them the most. Imagine a time when the world was unexplored and full of unknown dangers. In this world, everything had a spirit, a force that could be either friend or foe. The forests, the mountains, the rivers, all were inhabited by beings that could protect or destroy. In such a world, the line between the known and the unknown was thin, and it was in this uncertain space that these creatures thrived. Medusa, with her hair of writhing snakes, could turn anyone who gazed upon her to stone. Her story is one of beauty turned monstrous, a cautionary tale about the dangers of envy and the wrath of the gods. Imagine the fear of meeting her gaze, the terror of knowing that one look could end everything. Medusa's tale was a reminder of the power of the divine and the fragility of human life. In the cold north, there was Jormungandr, the world serpent. He was so large that he encircled the earth, holding his own tail in his mouth. The story said that when he let go, the world would end. His presence was a constant reminder of the impending doom, a giant lurking beneath the oceans, waiting to bring about the final battle. The Norse people lived with the knowledge that their world was held together by a thin thread, one that could snap at any moment. Then there was the Chimera, a fire-breathing creature with the body of a lion, the head of a goat, and the tail of a serpent. This monstrous combination struck fear into the hearts of those who heard of it. It was a creature of chaos, defying the natural order, and its existence was a symbol of the unpredictable dangers that life could throw at you. The Chimera's tale was one of caution, a warning to expect the unexpected and to be prepared for anything. The Wendigo, from the legends of the Algonquian people, was a creature born of hunger and cold. It was said to be a spirit that possessed humans, turning them into ravenous beings who craved human flesh. This terrifying figure was more than just a monster, it was a reflection of the harsh realities of survival in the bitter winters of the north. The Wendigo embodied the fear of starvation and the thin line between humanity and savagery. Across the seas, sailors whispered about the Kraken, a giant sea monster that could drag entire ships to the depths. The Kraken was the embodiment of the unknown dangers of the ocean, a reminder of how small and vulnerable humans were against the vastness of the sea. Every journey across the waves was shadowed by the fear of what might be lurking beneath, waiting to strike. The Banshee, with her mournful wail, was a harbinger of death in Irish folklore. Her cries in the night meant that someone was soon to die. This ghostly figure was not just a creature of fear, but also one of sorrow and inevitability. The Banshee's wail was a reminder of the inescapable nature of death, a chilling sound that brought with it a sense of helplessness and resignation. In the forests of China, there was the Jiangshi, the hopping vampire. This undead creature fed on the life force of the living, moving stiffly but relentlessly in search of its next victim. The Jiangshi was a symbol of the fear of the dead returning to haunt the living, a nightmarish figure that combined the terror of the grave with the threat of supernatural attack. On the Scottish Islands, the Naavi was a horrifying creature, part horse, part human, with skin that looked like it had been stripped away, revealing muscles and veins. This monstrosity brought disease and ruin, its mere presence a curse. The Naavi was a reflection of the fears of plague and destruction, a creature that embodied the worst aspects of nature's fury. The Lamia, once a beautiful queen, was cursed to become a child-eating demon. Her story is one of tragic transformation, a warning of the destructive power of jealousy and vengeance. The Lamia's tale resonated with the fear of losing loved ones, especially children, to forces beyond one's control. Pazuzu, the demon king from Mesopotamian mythology, was a bringer of storms and droughts. This fearsome figure was both a protector and a destroyer, embodying the capricious nature of the elements. People both feared and revered him, seeking his favor to ward off greater evils. In Japan, the legend of Kukusekana, the slit-mouthed woman, told of a vengeful spirit who asked her victims if they thought she was beautiful. No matter their answer, a terrible fate awaited them. Her story is a chilling reminder of the dangers of vanity and the consequences of cruelty. The Ahuizotl, from Aztec mythology, was a creature that lured people to their deaths in the water. With a hand on its tail to drag victims under, it was a symbol of the dangers lurking in the natural world. The Ahuizotl's tail warned of the treacherous beauty of the environment, where something as inviting as water could hide deadly threats. Each of these creatures, with their terrifying forms and haunting stories, reflects the deep-seated fears and uncertainties of the people who told their tales. They are the embodiment of the unknown, the unpredictable, and the uncontrollable forces that have always been a part of human life. Through these stories, ancient people tried to make sense of the world around them, to explain the unexplainable, and to give shape to their deepest fears. In the moonlit stillness of ancient Greece, a chilling legend was born. The story of Medusa, a name that has echoed through time, is one that sends shivers down the spine of anyone who hears it. Medusa was not always the monster that people feared. Once, she was a beautiful maiden, her hair flowing like rivers of gold, and her eyes as bright as the sun. Medusa's beauty was so great that it caught the eye of Poseidon, the god of the sea. But their meeting, which should have been a tale of love, turned into a curse that changed her life forever. In the sacred temple of Athena, Poseidon's desire led to Medusa's transformation. Athena, enraged by the desecration of her temple, cursed Medusa. Her beautiful hair turned into venomous snakes, and her gaze became so terrible that anyone who looked directly into her eyes would turn to stone. The curse not only altered Medusa's appearance, but also her fate. Cast out from the world she knew, she fled to the edge of the world, where she lived in solitude, surrounded by statues that were once men and heroes. Her heart, once filled with hope and dreams, was now consumed by bitterness and sorrow. The silence of her isolation was broken only by the hiss of her snake hair and the mournful wind that carried her lament. Heroes, driven by glory and the promise of great reward, ventured into the darkness to face Medusa. Each one met the same fate, turned to stone by her deadly gaze. Medusa became the ultimate test of courage and strength, a monster that lurked in the nightmares of warriors. Her story was told with hushed voices around campfires, her image a symbol of terror and tragedy. One of the most famous heroes to seek Medusa was Perseus. Armed with gifts from the gods, a mirrored shield from Athena, winged sandals from Hermes, a sword from Hephaestus, and Hades' helm of invisibility, Perseus set out on his daunting quest. Guided by Athena, he found Medusa's lair, a place filled with the eerie silence of death. Using the mirrored shield, he avoided her petrifying gaze, and with a swift stroke, he beheaded her. From her blood sprang the winged horse Pegasus and the giant Chrysaor, born from the union of Medusa and Poseidon. Medusa's head, even in death, retained its power. Perseus used it to defeat his enemies, turning them to stone with a mere glance. Eventually, he gifted Medusa's head to Athena, who placed it on her shield, the Aegis, as a symbol of protection and power. Medusa, once a maiden cursed for no fault of her own, had become an instrument of divine retribution. Medusa's story is not just one of horror, but also of deep sorrow. Her transformation from a beautiful maiden to a feared monster is a poignant tale of loss and injustice. Her image, with the writhing snakes and piercing eyes, evokes both fear and pity. In ancient Greek art, Medusa's face was often used as a protective symbol, believed to ward off evil. Her head, the Gorgonian, was depicted on shields, armor, and buildings, a reminder of her powerful curse and tragic fate. Throughout history, Medusa's tale has been retold and reinterpreted. In classical literature, she represents the dangers of uncontrolled desire and the wrath of the gods. In modern times, she has been seen as a symbol of feminine rage and empowerment, her story reimagined to highlight her strength and resilience in the face of injustice. Medusa's haunting legacy continues to inspire artists, writers, and scholars. Her face, twisted in anguish and fury, captures the complexity of her character, a victim and a monster, a figure of fear and fascination. The tale of Medusa is more than a myth. It is a reflection of the human condition, a story that delves into themes of beauty, power, and the consequences of divine wrath. As the stars shine over the ancient ruins of Greece, one can almost hear the whispers of her story carried by the wind. The legend of Medusa, the cursed maiden with the gaze of stone, remains a powerful and enduring myth, a testament to the timeless nature of storytelling and the profound impact of ancient legends on our collective consciousness. In the icy lands of Norse mythology, where the skies are painted with the shimmering colors of the northern lights, a colossal serpent slumbers beneath the waves. Jormungandr, the world serpent, is a creature of immense power and destiny, coiled around the earth, his tail held firmly in his mouth. This ancient beast, born of the giantess Angerboa and the trickster god Loki, is a figure of awe and dread, his very existence tied to the fate of the world. In the silence of the deep ocean, Jormungandr's presence is both a protector and a harbinger of doom. His massive body stretches across the sea, creating waves that crash against the shores, reminding the people of his lurking power. Yet, it is said that when he releases his tail, the world as they know it will come to an end. This serpent is not merely a creature of the sea, he is a symbol of the balance between life and destruction, a guardian of the natural order and a key player in the apocalyptic prophecy of Ragnarok. Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods, is a time of great chaos and destruction foretold in Norse legends. It is a cataclysmic event where the heavens and the earth will shatter, and the gods will face their ultimate battle. Jormungandr's role in this great upheaval is central. As the signs of Ragnarok begin to manifest, the relentless winters, the moral decay, the breaking of oaths, the world serpent will finally uncoil, rising from the depths to challenge the gods. When Jormungandr emerges, his colossal form will blot out the sky, and the earth will tremble beneath his weight. The seas will surge, and the land will be swallowed by the waves. The serpent's breath, filled with venom, will poison the air and water, bringing death and destruction to all it touches. The final battle will commence, with Jormungandr facing his eternal enemy, Thor, the god of thunder. Thor, armed with his mighty hammer Mjolnir, will confront the serpent in a clash of titanic forces. The ground will shake with each blow, and the skies will thunder with their fury. It is said that Thor will ultimately slay Jormungandr, but not before being poisoned by the serpent's deadly venom. In his final moments, Thor will take 9 steps before succumbing to the poison, a testament to his strength and valor. The death of both Thor and Jormungandr will mark the end of an era, the closing chapter of the old world and the birth of a new one. Jormungandr's role in Ragnarok is more than just a story of a great battle, it is a profound symbol of the cyclical nature of existence. In Norse mythology, the end of the world is not a final conclusion but a necessary step for renewal and rebirth. The serpent's release and the ensuing chaos are essential for the cleansing and regeneration of the cosmos. Jormungandr embodies the concept of destruction as a precursor to creation, the eternal cycle of death and rebirth that governs the universe. Culturally, Jormungandr holds deep significance for the Norse people. His image is a reminder of the power and unpredictability of nature, a force that can nurture and destroy with equal ferocity. The world serpent's presence in myths and sagas reflects the harsh and often unforgiving environment of the Norse world, where survival depends on understanding and respecting the natural order. Jormungandr's story is a cautionary tale of the balance between mankind and the elements, a lesson in humility and reverence for the forces beyond human control. In art and literature, Jormungandr's serpentine form is depicted in intricate carvings, runestones, and manuscripts, his coiled body a symbol of infinity and the unending cycle of life. His image serves as a protective emblem, warding off evil and chaos, while also reminding people of the inevitable end that awaits all. The serpent's role in Ragnarok is a powerful narrative that resonates with the themes of destiny, courage, and the resilience of the human spirit. As the legends of the Norse gods continue to captivate and inspire, Jormungandr's story remains a potent symbol of the mysteries and wonders of the ancient world. The world serpent, with his immense power and tragic fate, embodies the timeless struggle between order and chaos, life and death. His tale is a haunting reminder of the fragile balance that sustains the world and the ever-present possibility of its unraveling. Through the myth of Jormungandr, the Norse people found meaning in the cycles of nature, the inevitability of change, and the enduring hope for renewal. In the rugged mountains of ancient Greece, where the wind howls through jagged peaks and the air is thick with the scent of wildflowers, a monstrous creature once roamed. The Chimera, a fearsome beast unlike any other, struck terror into the hearts of those who encountered it. This creature was a horrifying blend of three different animals, each more terrifying than the last. It had the body and head of a lion, a goat's head protruding from its back, and a serpent's tail that writhed and hissed with deadly intent. Its breath was fire, capable of scorching anything in its path. The Chimera's origins are shrouded in mystery, but its legend has been passed down through generations. According to myth, the Chimera was born from the union of Typhon, a monstrous giant, and Echidna, the mother of all monsters. This unholy lineage gave the Chimera its fearsome strength and terrifying appearance. The people of Lycia, where the Chimera was said to dwell, lived in constant fear of the beast. It ravaged their lands, scorching fields and devouring livestock, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. One of the most famous tales involving the Chimera is the story of Bellerophon, a hero whose courage and strength were unmatched. Bellerophon was tasked with slaying the Chimera by King Iobates, who believed the mission to be impossible. Armed with a spear and riding the winged horse Pegasus, Bellerophon set out to confront the beast. As he approached, the Chimera roared, its lion's head bellowing with rage, the goat's head spewing fire, and the serpent's tail hissing venomously. Bellerophon, undeterred by the Chimera's fearsome display, soared above the beast on Pegasus, avoiding the deadly flames and venomous strikes. He struck with his spear, aiming for the heart of the lion. The battle was fierce, the air thick with smoke and the smell of burning flesh. Finally, with a mighty thrust, Bellerophon pierced the Chimera's heart, and the monstrous creature fell to the ground, its fire extinguished forever. The people of Lycia rejoiced, celebrating the hero who had freed them from the terror of the Chimera. The story of the Chimera did not end with its death. Its legend lived on, immortalized in the art and culture of ancient Greece and beyond. Artists and sculptors were captivated by the fearsome beauty of the beast, and its image was carved into stone, painted on vases, and depicted in mosaics. The Chimera became a symbol of the monstrous and the extraordinary, a reminder of the dangers that lurk in the shadows and the heroism needed to face them. One of the most famous artistic representations of the Chimera is the bronze statue known as the Chimera of Arezzo. This remarkable work of art, dating back to the 5th century BCE, captures the fierce majesty of the beast. The lion's head is poised to roar, the goat's head rears back in defiance, and the serpent's tail curls menacingly. The statue is a testament to the skill of the ancient artisans who could bring such a terrifying creature to life in metal. Throughout history, the Chimera has appeared in various forms of art, each capturing a different aspect of its fearsome nature. In ancient Greek pottery, the Chimera was often depicted in scenes of battle, its three heads twisting and snarling as it faced off against heroes and gods. These images served as both a warning and a testament to the bravery of those who dared to confront the unknown. In the Renaissance, artists like Giorgio Vasari revived the myth of the Chimera, blending classical themes with their own interpretations. Vasari's frescoes and drawings often featured the Chimera as a symbol of chaos and danger, a reminder of the monstrous within the human experience. The beast's terrifying form was used to explore themes of inner conflict and the struggle between reason and madness. The Chimera also found its way into literature, inspiring writers to weave tales of terror and heroism. Dante Alighieri, in his epic poem The Divine Comedy, placed the Chimera in the circles of hell, a fitting home for such a monstrous creature. The beast's image served as a metaphor for the sins and horrors that plague humanity, a symbol of the darker aspects of the human soul. In modern times, the Chimera continues to capture the imagination. Its image appears in fantasy literature, movies, and video games, where it remains a symbol of fearsome power and the ultimate challenge for heroes. The Chimera's legacy is one of enduring fascination, a reminder that even the most terrifying monsters can be conquered by courage and determination. As the sun sets over the ancient mountains of Greece, the legend of the Chimera lives on. The tales of its fiery breath and monstrous form continue to be told, a testament to the power of myth and the enduring human fascination with the unknown. The Chimera, with its lion's roar, goat's defiance, and serpent's hiss, remains a symbol of the extraordinary, a creature that bridges the gap between reality and the world of dreams and nightmares. In the frozen forests of the north, where the wind howls through the trees and the cold seeps into your bones, there is a creature whose very name can freeze the blood in your veins. The Wendigo, a spirit born of hunger and darkness, is a figure of terror in Algonquian mythology. Tales of the Wendigo have been whispered by the fireside for generations, each story more chilling than the last. The Wendigo is often described as a gaunt, emaciated figure, with skin stretched tightly over its bones, its eyes glowing with a ravenous hunger. Its body is tall and skeletal, its limbs elongated and twisted. The creature's mouth is filled with sharp, yellow teeth, and its breath is the stench of death. Some say it has the head of a deer, with antlers that pierce the sky, while others describe it as a monstrous human, forever cursed to roam the wilderness in search of its next meal. According to legend, the Wendigo was once a human being, transformed by an insatiable hunger for human flesh. This transformation could be the result of extreme famine, where a person, driven to the brink of starvation, turns to cannibalism. Consuming human flesh curses the individual, turning them into a Wendigo, forever doomed to wander the forest, never to be satisfied, always hungry. The more it eats, the hungrier it becomes, a monstrous cycle of consumption and despair. The Wendigo is not just a tale of terror, but also a warning. It embodies the dangers of unchecked greed and the consequences of giving in to base instincts. In the harsh winters of the North, where food is scarce and survival is a constant struggle, the story of the Wendigo serves as a powerful reminder of the thin line between humanity and monstrosity. It warns of the perils of losing one's humanity in the face of desperation and the dire consequences of succumbing to cannibalism. The folklore surrounding the Wendigo is filled with accounts of sightings and encounters. Hunters and trappers have reported hearing its eerie cries in the night, a sound that chills the soul and drives people to madness. Some have claimed to see the Wendigo lurking at the edge of the forest, its eyes burning with an unholy light, watching, waiting. Those who have encountered the Wendigo and lived to tell the tale speak of a terror that goes beyond the physical, a sense of evil so profound that it leaves a mark on the very soul. In modern times, the legend of the Wendigo has found its way into popular culture, continuing to terrify and fascinate. It appears in books, movies, and television shows, each portrayal adding to the mythos of this fearsome creature. In Stephen King's novel Pet Sematary, the Wendigo is depicted as a malevolent force lurking in the woods, a corrupting presence that brings death and despair. This portrayal captures the essence of the Wendigo as a symbol of the darkest aspects of human nature. In the television series Supernatural, the Wendigo is a monstrous being that hunts humans, embodying the relentless, insatiable hunger of the original folklore. The show's depiction brings the creature into the modern era, blending the ancient myth with contemporary horror. The Wendigo's presence in such stories reflects its enduring appeal and the universal fear it represents, the fear of losing oneself to darkness, of becoming a monster. The symbolism of the Wendigo extends beyond horror, delving into psychological and cultural realms. It represents the destructive power of greed and the dangers of losing one's humanity. In a world where excess and consumption are rampant, the Wendigo serves as a stark reminder of the consequences of unchecked desires. Its endless hunger mirrors societal issues of addiction, consumerism, and the moral decay that can result from pursuing one's desires at the expense of others. The Wendigo's tale also touches on themes of isolation and madness. The creature is often associated with the lonely, desolate wilderness, where the harsh environment can drive people to the brink of insanity. This aspect of the Wendigo reflects the mental and emotional toll of isolation, the way it can distort reality and lead to a descent into darkness. The Wendigo's presence in the forest is a metaphor for the hidden dangers within the human psyche, the potential for monstrous behavior lurking within us all. The cultural impact of the Wendigo extends to its use as a metaphor in discussions of social and environmental issues. The creature's insatiable hunger and destructive nature are sometimes used to describe the impact of colonialism on indigenous peoples and their lands. The Wendigo, in this context, represents the destructive greed and exploitation that have caused immense suffering and loss. It is a powerful symbol of the need for respect, balance, and harmony with the natural world and each other. As the stories of the Wendigo continue to be told, they serve as a chilling reminder of the power of myth and the timeless nature of human fears. The Wendigo's image, with its gaunt frame and glowing eyes, remains etched in the collective imagination, a figure of both horror and fascination. It is a creature born of darkness and hunger, a symbol of the thin line between humanity and monstrosity, and a testament to the enduring power of storytelling. In the dark corners of European folklore, a creature of unspeakable horror slithers through the shadows, leaving death in its wake. This is the basilisk, a beast whose very gaze is said to kill, and whose breath is poison. The legends of the basilisk have haunted the imaginations of people for centuries, weaving tales of dread and fascination. The myth of the basilisk begins in the ancient world, where it was often described as the king of serpents. Its name, derived from the Greek word basiliskos, means little king, a fitting title for a creature with such deadly power. The earliest accounts depict the basilisk as a small serpent, no more than 12 inches long, but with a crown-shaped crest on its head. Despite its size, it possessed the ability to kill with a single glance. According to the legend, the basilisk could turn anything to stone, with its mere presence bringing death to all living things. The origins of the basilisk myth can be traced back to ancient Greece and Rome. Pliny the Elder, a Roman naturalist, wrote about the basilisk in his work Natural History, describing it as a snake born from the egg of a serpent and incubated by a cockerel. This peculiar birth gave rise to the belief that the basilisk combined the most dangerous qualities of both creatures. Its venom was so potent that it could kill a man with just a touch, and its breath could wither plants and break stones. The basilisk's legend spread throughout Europe during the Middle Ages, growing in both detail and terror. It was said that the creature lived in remote, desolate places, guarding treasures and ancient secrets. Travelers and knights told stories of encountering the basilisk in abandoned ruins and dark forests, their tales filled with fear and wonder. One famous account tells of a knight who, upon seeing the basilisk, held up a polished shield. The creature saw its own reflection and was killed by its deadly gaze. This tale underscores the basilisk's association with themes of vanity and self-destruction. As the myth of the basilisk evolved, so did its physical description. In some stories, it was depicted with the body of a serpent and the head of a cockerel, combining the most fearsome aspects of both creatures. Other versions portrayed it as a dragon-like beast, with scales that shone like polished armor and eyes that glowed with a malevolent light. These varying depictions only added to the creature's mystique, making it a symbol of the unknown and the terrifying. The fearsome nature of the basilisk made it a popular subject in medieval bestiaries, where it was often used as a moral lesson. These bestiaries, which were illustrated collections of animals and mythical creatures, portrayed the basilisk as a symbol of sin and death. Its ability to kill with a glance was seen as a metaphor for the destructive power of evil and corruption. The creature's deadly nature served as a warning against hubris and the dangers of straying from the righteous path. The basilisk's influence extended beyond literature and folklore, leaving its mark on the art and culture of Europe. It appeared in paintings, tapestries, and sculptures, its image used to invoke both fear and awe. In churches and cathedrals, carvings of the basilisk were placed to ward off evil spirits and protect the faithful. The creature's likeness was also used in heraldry, where it symbolized both the destructive power of nature and the strength required to overcome it. In modern times, the legend of the basilisk has found new life in popular culture, continuing to captivate audiences with its blend of horror and intrigue. One of the most famous representations is in J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter series, where the basilisk is depicted as a giant serpent that lives in the Chamber of Secrets. In this story, the creature's deadly gaze is a central plot point, driving the tension and fear that permeate the narrative. This modern portrayal stays true to the ancient myth, while adding new layers of depth and excitement. The basilisk has also appeared in various films, television shows, and video games, each interpretation adding to its rich tapestry of lore. In these modern retellings, the creature often serves as a formidable antagonist, its presence a challenge that must be overcome by the heroes. Its deadly gaze and poisonous breath are used to create moments of suspense and danger, keeping audiences on the edge of their seats. Despite the changing times, the basilisk remains a potent symbol of fear and the unknown, its legend continuing to evolve with each new telling. The enduring appeal of the basilisk lies in its ability to tap into fundamental human fears. Its very nature, combining beauty with deadly power, speaks to our fascination with the duality of life and death. The creature's deadly gaze is a reminder of the unseen dangers that lurk in the world, and the thin line between safety and peril. The basilisk's legend, with its roots in ancient mythology and its branches reaching into modern culture, continues to remind us of the power of stories to capture our imaginations and stir our deepest emotions. In the icy waters of the North Atlantic, sailors would often whisper about a creature so vast and powerful that it could pull entire ships to the ocean floor. This is the Kraken, a legendary sea monster from Norse mythology that has haunted the dreams of mariners for centuries. The very mention of its name could send shivers down the spine of even the bravest seafarers. Legends of the Kraken date back to ancient times when the sea was a mysterious and often terrifying place. Sailors described the Kraken as an enormous beast with tentacles that could reach the tops of the tallest masts and wrap around the hulls of the sturdiest ships. Its eyes were said to be as large as dinner plates, glowing with an eerie, otherworldly light. The creature's skin was rough and covered in barnacles, blending seamlessly with the dark ocean depths. One of the earliest accounts of the Kraken comes from the 13th century Icelandic sagas. In these stories, the Kraken was depicted as a giant squid or octopus, lurking beneath the waves and waiting for its next prey. Sailors would tell of seeing the Kraken's massive tentacles breaking the surface of the water, followed by a whirlpool that could drag even the largest ships into the abyss. The fear of encountering the Kraken was so great that many would refuse to set sail without offering prayers and sacrifices to the sea gods for protection. The Kraken's legend grew with each retelling, becoming more elaborate and terrifying. Some tales claimed that the Kraken could create massive waves, causing storms and shipwrecks. Others said that the beast could swallow a ship whole, leaving no trace of its victims. The Kraken became a symbol of the unpredictable and often deadly nature of the sea, a reminder of the dangers that awaited those who dared to venture into its depths. The influence of the Kraken on seafaring lore is profound. For centuries, sailors would recount their encounters with the beast, each story more harrowing than the last. These tales served as both warnings and entertainment, passed down from generation to generation. The Kraken became a part of maritime culture, its legend woven into the fabric of life at sea. In the age of exploration, as sailors ventured further into uncharted waters, the fear of the Kraken persisted. Maps from this period often featured illustrations of the Kraken, depicted as a monstrous creature rising from the depths to attack ships. These images fueled the imagination and added to the sense of mystery and danger that surrounded the oceans. The Kraken's grip on the human imagination extended beyond the world of seafaring. In literature, the creature has been immortalized in numerous works, capturing the terror and fascination it inspired. One of the most famous literary references to the Kraken comes from Alfred Lord Tennyson's poem The Kraken, in which he describes the beast as an ancient and powerful entity, sleeping beneath the sea until the end of days. The poem's haunting imagery evokes the sense of awe and dread that the Kraken has always inspired. In more recent times, the Kraken has found its way into popular culture, continuing to capture the imagination of audiences around the world. In movies, television shows, and video games, the Kraken is often portrayed as a formidable adversary, a creature of immense size and power that poses a significant threat to heroes and adventurers. These modern adaptations keep the legend of the Kraken alive, introducing new generations to the mythical sea monster. One of the most iconic portrayals of the Kraken in modern media is in the Pirates of the Caribbean film series. In these movies, the Kraken is depicted as a massive, terrifying beast that serves as a weapon for the villainous Davy Jones. Its appearance in the films is both awe-inspiring and terrifying, capturing the essence of the ancient legends while adding a new layer of excitement and adventure. The Kraken also appears in various video games, where players must confront and defeat the beast in epic battles. These games often draw on the creature's legendary characteristics, using its enormous size and powerful tentacles to create challenging and thrilling encounters. The Kraken's presence in these games speaks to its enduring appeal as a symbol of the unknown and the monstrous. In art, the Kraken continues to inspire, with artists creating stunning and evocative depictions of the sea monster. These works often highlight the creature's immense size and power, capturing the sense of awe and terror that has always been associated with the Kraken. The enduring fascination with the Kraken in art reflects its status as a timeless symbol of the mysteries and dangers of the sea. The legend of the Kraken has also found its way into scientific discourse, with researchers and marine biologists drawing parallels between the mythical creature and real-life deep-sea giants like the giant squid. These comparisons have fueled speculation and curiosity about the existence of such creatures, adding a layer of intrigue to the already fascinating legend of the Kraken. The Kraken's legacy is one of fear, fascination, and enduring mystery. It embodies the power and unpredictability of the sea, serving as a reminder of the vast and often terrifying world that lies beneath the waves. The stories of the Kraken continue to captivate, drawing us into a world where monsters lurk in the depths, waiting to rise and reclaim their place in our nightmares. On a cold, misty night in the Irish countryside, a mournful wail pierces the stillness, sending shivers down the spine of anyone who hears it. This is the cry of the Banshee, a ghostly figure from Irish mythology whose presence heralds death and sorrow. For centuries, the tales of the Banshee have been told and retold, each story filled with a haunting blend of fear and reverence. The origins of the Banshee are rooted in the ancient Celtic traditions of Ireland. Known in Gaelic as Bean City, which translates to Woman of the Fairy Mound, the Banshee is often depicted as a spirit of a woman who once lived and died in sorrow. According to legend, she roams the hills and valleys of Ireland, her mournful cries a lament for the souls who are about to pass from this world. Some stories describe her as a beautiful woman with long, flowing hair and a pale, ethereal appearance, while others portray her as a haggard, elderly figure with eyes red from weeping. One of the most famous tales of the Banshee involves the noble families of Ireland. It is said that the Banshee would appear to these families to forewarn them of the imminent death of a loved one. Her keening, a high-pitched, mournful wail, would be heard echoing through the night, a sound that struck fear into the hearts of those who recognized it. The Banshee's cries were not only a warning but also a form of mourning, as she grieved for the family and the soul that was about to depart. In some stories, the Banshee is connected to specific families, serving as a personal harbinger of death. These families, often of ancient lineage, believed that the Banshee was a guardian spirit, watching over them through the generations. Her appearance, though terrifying, was also seen as a sign of respect and a reminder of the inevitability of death. The Banshee's role as a mourner and protector highlights the deep connection between the living and the spirit world in Irish mythology. The cultural significance of the Banshee extends beyond her role as a harbinger of death. She embodies the themes of loss, sorrow, and the fragile nature of life, themes that are deeply ingrained in Irish culture and literature. Her presence in folklore and storytelling reflects the Irish people's relationship with death and the afterlife, a relationship marked by both fear and acceptance. In Irish literature, the Banshee appears in various forms, each capturing a different aspect of her myth. One notable example is W.B. Yeats' poem The Hosting of the City, where he describes the otherworldly beauty and sorrow of the fairy folk, including the Banshee. Yeats' portrayal of the Banshee as a haunting, mournful figure echoes the traditional tales and underscores her role as a symbol of inevitable loss. The Banshee's influence can also be seen in the works of other Irish writers, such as James Joyce and Seamus Heaney. Joyce's story The Dead, part of his collection Dubliners, explores themes of mortality and the passage of time, themes that resonate with the legend of the Banshee. Heaney's poetry, with its deep connection to the Irish landscape and history, often reflects the sense of mourning and loss that the Banshee represents. Through their works, these writers have helped to keep the legend of the Banshee alive, weaving her story into the fabric of Irish cultural identity. In addition to literature, the Banshee has found her way into Irish music and art. Traditional Irish ballads and songs often tell stories of the Banshee, her mournful cries captured in the haunting melodies and lyrics. These songs, passed down through generations, keep the legend of the Banshee alive in the hearts and minds of the Irish people. In visual art, the Banshee is depicted in various forms, from the ethereal beauty of a young woman to the terrifying visage of an old crone. These artistic representations capture the dual nature of the Banshee, as both a figure of fear and a symbol of mourning. Modern adaptations of the Banshee legend continue to captivate audiences around the world. In films, television shows, and books, the Banshee is often portrayed as a supernatural being with the power to foretell death. These modern interpretations stay true to the essence of the Banshee myth, while adding new dimensions to her story. The Banshee's enduring appeal lies in her ability to evoke a deep emotional response, tapping into the universal fear of death and the unknown. The Banshee's presence in contemporary culture also reflects the ongoing fascination with the supernatural and the unexplained. Her legend, with its roots in ancient folklore, continues to resonate in a world where the line between the known and the unknown is often blurred. The Banshee serves as a reminder of the mysteries that lie beyond our understanding, and the profound impact that these mysteries have on our lives. As the stories of the Banshee continue to be told, they serve as a powerful testament to the enduring nature of folklore and the human need to understand and make sense of the world around us. The Banshee, with her mournful cries and ghostly presence, remains a potent symbol of loss, sorrow, and the inevitable passage of time. Her legend, passed down through generations, continues to captivate and haunt, reminding us of the deep connections between the past and the present, the living and the dead. On a dark and moonless night, when the shadows seem to stretch and twist with a life of their own, a chilling figure may emerge from the darkness, a figure that hops rather than walks, with a ghastly face frozen in a deathly grimace. This is the Jianshu, the hopping vampire of Chinese mythology, a creature whose story has haunted the minds of many for centuries. The legend of the Jianshu, or hopping vampire, begins in ancient China, where fear of the undead was as old as the hills themselves. The Jianshu is no ordinary vampire. Unlike its Western counterparts, this creature doesn't glide or slink in the shadows. Instead, it moves in a distinctive, eerie hop, arms outstretched and rigid, as if it is bound by an invisible force. Its appearance is equally unnerving, a corpse dressed in traditional Qing dynasty robes, its face pale and greenish, with protruding fangs and sharp, accusing eyes. The Jianshu's presence is a grotesque reminder of the dead walking among the living, fueled by a restless, malevolent spirit. In the heart of the Jianshu myth is the belief that this creature was once a human, transformed into a vampire due to improper burial rites or wrongful death. The Jianshu is often depicted as a person who died under unfortunate circumstances, perhaps a violent death or one without proper rites, causing their spirit to be trapped in the body. This restless spirit then rises from the grave, not quite alive, not quite dead, driven by an insatiable hunger for the life force of the living. The Jianshu's terrifying appearance and peculiar movements are said to be a result of its rigid, corpse-like state. Since its body is stiff, it cannot bend or move its limbs freely, so it hops to travel. This hopping motion, combined with its ghastly visage, makes the Jianshu a nightmarish figure that stands as a stark warning of the consequences of failing to honor the dead properly. Stories of the Jianshu were passed down through generations, becoming deeply embedded in Chinese folklore. These tales often depicted the Jianshu as a fearsome predator that would hunt the living by night, seeking to drain their life force and turn them into Jianshu as well. To protect themselves from this horrifying creature, people devised various methods. Special charms, talismans, and rituals were used to ward off the Jianshu, while the ancient practice of placing a piece of paper with Taoist inscriptions on the corpse's forehead was believed to prevent it from rising. The Jianshu's influence on Chinese horror and media is profound and far-reaching. In traditional Chinese opera and literature, the Jianshu is a figure of horror, a symbol of death's intrusion into the living world. These stories were often told around the hearth, their chilling details sending shivers down the spines of listeners and keeping the Jianshi's legend alive. As the world evolved, so too did the Jianshi, adapting to new forms of media and popular culture. In the early 20th century, the Jianshi began to make appearances in Chinese cinema, particularly in the horror genre. The films of the 1980s and 1990s introduced the Jianshi to a wider audience, combining traditional myth with modern storytelling techniques. These movies often portrayed the Jianshi in dramatic, over-the-top fashion, featuring intense scenes of horror and suspense. The character of the Jianshi became a staple of Chinese horror films, its hopping movement and eerie appearance adding a unique and unsettling element to the genre. One of the most influential films featuring the Jianshi is Mr. Vampire, a 1985 Hong Kong horror comedy that helped to popularize the Jianshi in contemporary media. In this film, the Jianshi is portrayed with both horror and humor, creating a blend of suspense and comedy that captivated audiences. The film's success led to a series of sequels and similar movies, cementing the Jianshi's place in modern Chinese pop culture. The Jianshi has also found its way into other forms of media, including television shows, video games, and literature. In these adaptations, the Jianshi is often depicted with a mix of traditional and modern elements, maintaining its role as a creature of horror while adapting to new storytelling techniques. Video games, in particular, have embraced the Jianshi as a formidable enemy, incorporating its distinctive movement and appearance into gameplay mechanics that challenge players and add an extra layer of fear. The Jianshi's impact on Chinese horror and media extends beyond mere entertainment. It reflects a deep-seated cultural fear of death and the supernatural, highlighting the ways in which these fears shape and influence storytelling. The Jianshi embodies the anxieties and beliefs of ancient China, serving as a powerful reminder of the cultural and historical roots of horror. In addition to its role in media, the Jianshi continues to influence popular culture and folklore. Festivals and events dedicated to the Jianshi celebrate its legend, often featuring reenactments and performances that bring the myth to life. These celebrations keep the Jianshi's story alive, passing it on to new generations and ensuring that the legend remains a vibrant part of Chinese cultural heritage. The story of the Jianshi is a haunting reminder of the ways in which myth and legend can shape our understanding of the world. Its eerie presence, with its rigid movements and ghostly appearance, captures the fear of the unknown and the supernatural, making it a timeless figure in the landscape of horror. The Jianshi's legend, with its roots in ancient beliefs and its evolution in modern media, continues to fascinate and terrify, proving that some myths never truly die, they merely hop from one form to another. In the desolate moors of the Scottish Highlands, where the fog clings to the land like a ghostly shroud, whispers of an ancient horror haunt the air. This is the Naavi, a creature of such nightmarish terror that it sends chills through the bravest souls. The very mention of its name is enough to stir dread, evoking images of a being so monstrous that it seems to have stepped straight out of a nightmare. The Naavi is unlike anything found in the annals of folklore. Its form is a grotesque amalgamation of horse and rider, fused together into a single, horrifying entity. Imagine a horse with skin stretched tight over its bones, its eyes glowing like burning embers, and its breath a foul mist of decay. Attached to this nightmarish steed is a rider, not a human but a skeletal figure with skin pulled taut over its frame, revealing the raw sinew beneath. This monstrous figure has no mouth but speaks with a voice that sounds like the crackling of fire. Its presence is heralded by a stench so vile that it can make the air itself seem to rot. The Naavi's horror extends beyond its appearance. It is said that the creature brings with it a blight, a sickness that spreads through the land with its very breath. Crops wither, livestock perish, and the land itself seems to groan under the weight of its malevolence. The Naavi is more than just a monster, it is a force of destruction, a harbinger of doom that leaves a trail of devastation in its wake. One of the most chilling tales of the Naavi involves its rampage through a small highland village. According to the story, the creature emerged from the fog one night, its eyes glowing like burning coals. As it approached the village, the ground trembled beneath its hooves, and the sky seemed to darken with an unnatural gloom. The villagers, sensing the approach of the Naavi, fled in terror, but it was too late. The creature unleashed its foul breath upon the village, and within hours, the crops turned to rot, and the animals fell ill. The once thriving village was reduced to a ghostly ruin, its people scattered and broken. Another tale tells of a shepherd who, while tending his flock, caught sight of the Naavi lurking in the distance. The shepherd, recognizing the creature from the old tales, knew that he had little hope of escape. As the Naavi drew closer, its breath tainted the air, causing the sheep to fall dead one by one. In a desperate bid to save himself, the shepherd ran to the nearest church, believing that its holy grounds might offer protection. But the Naavi was not deterred. It circled the church, its foul breath seeping through the walls, bringing death even to the sanctuary. The shepherd's fate was sealed, a grim reminder that there was no escaping the Naavi's wrath. The impact of the Naavi on Scottish folklore is profound. It embodies the fear of the unknown and the uncontrollable forces of nature. In a land where the weather can shift from calm to stormy in an instant, and where the landscape is both beautiful and treacherous, the Naavi represents the darkest aspects of these natural forces. It is a creature born from the mist and darkness of the Highlands, a symbol of the fear that lies in the unexplained and the monstrous. In Scottish culture, the Naavi's legacy endures through stories and cautionary tales passed down through generations. It serves as a reminder of the dangers that lurk in the remote corners of the world, where the veil between reality and nightmare is thin. The creature's terrifying presence in folklore reflects the deep-seated fears of a people who lived in close harmony with the wild and often unforgiving landscape of their homeland. The Naavi has also made its mark on modern interpretations of Scottish folklore. In literature and popular culture, the creature appears as a symbol of pure terror, a figure that captures the imagination with its monstrous form and malevolent power. Its influence can be seen in various works of fiction that draw on the themes of ancient myth and horror, adapting the Naavi's terrifying image to create new tales of dread and fascination. In contemporary settings, the Naavi is often used to evoke a sense of primal fear, its grotesque appearance and destructive powers serving as a powerful metaphor for the uncontrollable forces of nature. Its role in modern media reflects a continuing fascination with the macabre and the supernatural, highlighting the enduring appeal of ancient myths and legends. The Naavi's place in Scottish folklore and its impact on modern interpretations reveal a timeless fascination with the monstrous and the unknown. It stands as a reminder of the primal fears that have haunted humanity since the dawn of time, a creature that embodies the darkest aspects of nature and the terror that lies beyond the edge of the known world. In the misty Highlands where its legend was born, the Naavi remains a chilling presence, a figure of horror that continues to haunt the imagination and inspire awe. In the heart of ancient Greece, amidst the whispers of legends and the echoes of old tales, there lurks a figure so terrifying that it haunts the imagination even today. This is the Lamia, a creature whose story is as tragic as it is horrifying. Her tale begins with beauty and love, but it evolves into something darker, becoming a symbol of loss and despair. Lamia was once a beautiful queen of Libya, beloved by Zeus himself. Her beauty was so radiant that even the gods were enchanted by her. But her story took a cruel turn when Hera, the jealous wife of Zeus, discovered the affair. In her rage, Hera cursed Lamia, turning her into a monstrous figure with the upper body of a woman and the lower body of a serpent. Her once beautiful face was now a hideous mask of despair, her eyes glowing with a madness born of grief and rage. Stripped of her former beauty, Lamia's heart was broken, her life shattered by the cruel twist of fate. The transformation was not only physical but emotional. Lamia's curse made her immortal, but at a terrible cost. She was forever doomed to wander the earth, her beauty replaced by horror, her love turned into a vengeful obsession. As part of her curse, she was condemned to hunt and devour the children of others, a grim act driven by her sorrow and rage. Each child she consumed was a small measure of revenge against a world that had taken everything from her. The tales of Lamia's monstrous form spread like wildfire. In the darkened corners of ancient Greece, stories of her prowling the night became a source of fear. Parents would whisper her name to frighten children into obedience, telling them that Lamia would come for them if they misbehaved. Her image became a symbol of the vengeful spirit of a mother wronged, her monstrous transformation reflecting the agony of lost love and shattered dreams. As the Lamia myth evolved, so did its portrayal in art and literature. In ancient Greek art, she was depicted with a grotesque blend of human and serpentine features, her fearsome visage capturing the horror and tragedy of her tale. Sculptors and painters used her image to evoke a sense of dread, portraying her in scenes of terror and anguish that conveyed her monstrous nature and the tragic loss that drove her. In literature, the Lamia's story took on various forms. The Roman poet Ovid, in his Metamorphoses, recounted her tale with a poetic twist, weaving her tragic fate into the fabric of his epic. He described her transformation and her sorrowful revenge, highlighting the blend of beauty and horror that defined her legend. Over time, writers across different cultures adapted the Lamia myth, each adding their own elements to the story while retaining the core themes of beauty turned to horror and love turned to rage. The Lamia's influence extended into the Middle Ages and beyond, where her story found a place in Gothic literature. In these works, the Lamia was often portrayed as a seductress, a figure who lured men to their doom with her beauty before revealing her true, monstrous form. This adaptation of the myth added a layer of psychological horror, exploring themes of deception, seduction, and the monstrous hidden beneath the surface. The Lamia's presence in art continued to evolve, her image appearing in various forms of visual representation. In medieval and Renaissance art, she was sometimes depicted as a siren-like figure, embodying both allure and menace. Her serpentine lower half and tragic visage became a symbol of the dangers that lie hidden beneath apparent beauty. In modern times, the Lamia myth has persisted, appearing in literature, film, and popular culture. She has been reimagined in countless ways, from horror stories to fantasy novels, each adaptation exploring different aspects of her character. The Lamia's story resonates with themes of loss, vengeance, and transformation, making her a compelling figure in the landscape of myth and storytelling. The Lamia's influence on literature and art underscores her role as a symbol of tragic loss and monstrous revenge. Her story, from its origins in ancient Greece to its modern adaptations, reflects the enduring power of myth to capture the human experience. Her transformation from a beautiful queen to a vengeful monster is a reminder of the depths of sorrow and rage that can arise from love and betrayal, and her legacy continues to inspire and terrify through the ages. In the dark corners of ancient Mesopotamian lore, where shadows twisted into fearsome shapes and the air was thick with dread, there existed a figure so terrifying that even the bravest would shudder at his name. This was Pazuzu, the demon king whose very essence was woven with chaos and malevolence. His tale begins not in the light of day but in the murky depths of ancient belief, where he wielded his power over the supernatural world with a sinister grace. Pazuzu's origins are rooted in the ancient myths of Mesopotamia, a land where demons and gods intermingled in a tapestry of divine drama. Known as the king of the wind demons, Pazuzu was feared for his control over the destructive forces of nature. His appearance was as grotesque as his reputation. With the head of a lion or a dog, the body of a man, and the wings of a bird, he was a monstrous blend of creatures, each part a symbol of his chaotic power. His face, with its fearsome features and sharp, menacing eyes, was enough to chill the blood of anyone who dared to look upon it. In Mesopotamian mythology, Pazuzu was not merely a figure of fear but a complex entity with his own domain. He was associated with the southwestern wind, which brought with it pestilence and disease. Yet, in an ironic twist, he was also invoked for protection against other, more malevolent spirits. The very demon that inspired terror was also sought after to ward off worse evils, a testament to the paradoxical nature of ancient belief. One of the most chilling aspects of Pazuzu's role in myth is his involvement in the world of the living. It was believed that Pazuzu had the power to possess and torment humans, especially those who were vulnerable or already suffering. He was the dark force behind nightmares and ailments, a presence that could turn a life of normalcy into a living nightmare. His name became synonymous with dread, and his image was often used in amulets and talismans as a means of protection against his own dark influence. The stories of Pazuzu were more than just whispers in the dark, they were a part of daily life for the people of Mesopotamia. His terrifying presence was depicted in art and inscriptions, each portrayal emphasizing his fearsome nature. Temples and homes often bore his image, not as a symbol of worship but as a means to ward off his malign influence. The paradox of Pazuzu, being both a bringer of evil and a protector against greater dangers, reflected the complexities of ancient beliefs and the ever-present struggle against the forces of chaos. As centuries passed, the legacy of Pazuzu did not fade but evolved, leaving its mark on modern media. His terrifying visage and role in ancient mythology captured the imagination of storytellers and filmmakers alike. In the 20th century, Pazuzu found a new and chilling expression in popular culture, most famously in the film The Exorcist. Here, Pazuzu became synonymous with demonic possession and supernatural horror, his image now a staple of modern fear. The film's portrayal of Pazuzu as a powerful demon who could possess and control a young girl brought the ancient terror of this Mesopotamian figure into the modern age. The movie's depiction of Pazuzu was a powerful blend of ancient lore and cinematic horror, using the demon's terrifying form to evoke a deep sense of dread. The film's success helped cement Pazuzu's place in the annals of modern horror, transforming him from a figure of ancient myth into a symbol of contemporary fear. Pazuzu's influence extends beyond just one film. He has appeared in various forms of media, including literature, video games, and television, each portrayal adding a new layer to his dark legacy. His image has been used to evoke fear and fascination, a reminder of the ancient myths that continue to inspire and terrify. The way Pazuzu is represented in modern media reflects a deep-seated fascination with the supernatural and the monstrous. His role as a demon king, capable of both great malevolence and complex paradoxes, resonates with audiences who find both horror and intrigue in his story. The ancient fear of Pazuzu, once rooted in the dusty scrolls and inscriptions of Mesopotamia, now echoes through the screen and page, proving that the terror of this ancient demon remains as potent as ever. The story of Pazuzu is one of darkness and contradiction, a tale that bridges the ancient world with the modern age. His role in Mesopotamian mythology as a harbinger of chaos and disease, and his subsequent evolution into a symbol of supernatural horror in contemporary media, underscores the enduring power of myth. The Demon King's legacy endures as a chilling reminder of the ancient fears that continue to captivate and horrify us, a testament to the timeless nature of myth and the shadows that lurk within. In the eerie quiet of Japanese folklore, where whispers of the supernatural weave through the night, there lurks a figure so chilling that she has haunted the imaginations of generations. This is Kukusekana, the slit-mouthed woman, whose legend has evolved from a terrifying tale into a modern urban nightmare. Her story begins with a tragedy and fear so profound that it continues to unsettle and captivate. Long ago in Japan, a beautiful woman lived a life of luxury and love. However, her life took a dark turn when she became jealous and enraged, leading to a dreadful act of betrayal. Her husband, in a fit of rage and jealousy, disfigured her with a horrific slit across her mouth, leaving her face scarred with a permanent, ghastly grin. As she died from her injuries, her spirit became trapped between the realms of the living and the dead, condemned to wander the earth in search of revenge. The legend describes Kukusekana as a ghostly figure with a mask of beauty that conceals a nightmarish truth. She wears a surgical mask or a cloth wrapped around her face to hide her disfigurement. With a sudden and unsettling appearance, she approaches unsuspecting victims, her mouth hidden from view. Her question is simple yet horrifying: "Am I beautiful?" If the victim answers yes, she removes her mask to reveal her grotesque, slit mouth, and then asks again, "How about now?" If the victim's response is anything less than affirmative, or if they scream in horror, Kukusekana will attack, often with a pair of scissors she carries. If the answer is no, she may kill the victim instantly. The legend of Kukusekana is more than just a ghost story, it is a symbol of deep-seated fears and anxieties. Her horrific appearance and violent actions reflect the fears of betrayal, the consequences of rage, and the unresolved pain that lingers even after death. She embodies the horror of a life turned into a nightmare by a cruel twist of fate, and her vengeful spirit seeks to spread her torment to others, perpetuating the cycle of fear and suffering. In modern times, Kukusekana has transitioned from ancient folklore to urban legend, becoming a staple of Japanese horror and popular culture. Her tale has been adapted and reimagined in various forms, from eerie urban legends to spine-chilling horror films. The legend's shift from folklore to urban myth has only amplified its impact, resonating with contemporary fears and anxieties. The urban legend of Kukusekana often surfaces in conversations among friends, in schoolyards, and on social media, her story whispered with a mix of fascination and dread. The fear of encountering her has become a rite of passage for many, a test of courage or a warning to adhere to societal norms. Her presence in modern culture reflects the ongoing fascination with horror and the supernatural, as well as the need to confront and explore the fears that lie hidden within us. In cinema, Kukusekana has made a significant impact, appearing in numerous horror films and television shows. Her terrifying visage and the unsettling premise of her encounters have been used to create some of the most memorable and spine-chilling moments in Japanese horror. Films often emphasize the psychological horror of her legend, focusing on the dread of encountering a figure whose beauty is tainted by a horrifying truth. These adaptations often explore the deeper themes of identity, fear, and the consequences of past actions, drawing on the original legend's themes to create a new layer of horror for contemporary audiences. Her portrayal in modern media often amplifies her original traits, enhancing her sinister presence and the fear she evokes. The slit-mouthed woman has become an icon of horror, her story a powerful tool for exploring the darker aspects of human nature and the supernatural. Her evolution from a traditional ghost story to a modern urban legend highlights the enduring power of folklore and its ability to adapt and resonate across different contexts and eras. The story of Kukusekana continues to captivate and terrify, a haunting reminder of the fears and anxieties that lurk just beneath the surface of everyday life. Her legend, born from a tragic tale of betrayal and revenge, has become a powerful symbol of horror and the supernatural, reflecting the timeless human fascination with the unknown and the terrifying. As long as there are stories to tell and fears to confront, the legend of Kukusekana will remain a chilling and compelling part of the horror landscape. Under the sweltering heat of the Aztec Empire, where towering pyramids cast long shadows over the bustling city of Tenochtitlan, there existed a creature of pure horror and legend. This was the Ahuizotl, a fearsome being whose mere mention would send shivers down the spines of even the bravest souls. Known for its brutal and terrifying nature, the Ahuizotl lurked in the dark waters of rivers and lakes, a shadowy figure of dread and death. The Ahuizotl was described as a nightmarish hybrid, part dog, part monkey, with a chilling twist, a hand on the end of its long, serpentine tail. This hand was no ordinary appendage. It was said to be capable of gripping and dragging its prey under the water, ensuring no escape from its clutches. The creature's appearance was so grotesque that it seemed to embody the very essence of fear. Its face was a twisted mask of predatory hunger, and its eyes were pools of malevolence. The legend of the Ahuizotl was more than just a story of a monstrous beast. It served as a grim reminder of the dangers lurking in the natural world, a creature that preyed upon those who ventured too close to its domain. The Ahuizotl was said to haunt the waters of lakes and rivers, waiting for unsuspecting travelers or fishermen. It would wait silently, hidden just beneath the surface, until the right moment to strike. When it did, it used its preternatural strength to pull its victims into the depths, where they would meet a gruesome end. This creature was not just a part of Aztec mythology, it was deeply entwined with their culture and beliefs. The Aztecs had a profound respect and fear of the natural world, and the Ahuizotl was a reflection of this. It was a symbol of the untamed, unpredictable forces of nature that could turn against humans at any moment. The fear of the Ahuizotl was a cautionary tale, a reminder of the dangers that lay hidden in the environment and the respect that must be shown to nature. In Aztec culture, the Ahuizotl was more than just a monster, it was a part of their religious and cultural fabric. The creature was often associated with the Underworld and was believed to be a harbinger of misfortune. It was said that those who encountered the Ahuizotl were often cursed, their deaths serving as a warning to others. The Aztecs believed that the creature had the power to summon other spirits and monsters, amplifying its role as a figure of dread. The impact of the Ahuizotl on Aztec society was profound. The fear of this creature influenced the way people interacted with their environment. Fishermen and travelers would be extra cautious, avoiding the waters where the Ahuizotl was said to dwell. Rituals and offerings might be made to appease the spirit of the lake or river, hoping to avoid the wrath of the monster. The Ahuizotl's presence was a constant reminder of the delicate balance between humans and nature, and the consequences of disturbing that balance. As time went on, the legend of the Ahuizotl did not fade but transformed. Even as the Aztec Empire fell and the world changed around them, the stories of this fearsome creature continued to captivate and terrify. The Ahuizotl became a symbol of the dark side of the natural world, a reminder of the ancient fears that continue to haunt the collective imagination. In modern times, the Ahuizotl's legacy endures in various forms. It appears in literature, art, and popular culture, its fearsome image serving as a powerful reminder of the primal fears that lurk just beneath the surface. The creature's story continues to be a source of fascination and horror, a testament to the lasting impact of myth and legend. The tale of the Ahuizotl is a chilling reminder of the power of myth and the deep-seated fears that it can evoke. From its origins in the heart of the Aztec Empire to its place in contemporary culture, the Ahuizotl remains a potent symbol of the monstrous and the mysterious. Its legacy is a reflection of the timeless nature of folklore and the enduring power of stories to capture the darkest corners of the human imagination. In the shadows of ancient tales and eerie legends, there lurks a host of creatures that chill the soul and provoke the imagination. These beings, from the monstrous Ahuizotl to the haunting Banshee, have one thing in common: they embody our deepest fears and anxieties. Their stories are not just horror, they are reflections of our primal emotions and cultural concerns. Consider the dread that accompanies each encounter with these disturbing beings. Fear is a recurring motif, deeply embedded in every tale. The Kraken's monstrous tentacles, the howling Banshee, and the vengeful Kukusekana all serve as symbols of our fear of the unknown. They remind us that no matter how advanced or sophisticated we become, there are still forces beyond our control, lurking just out of sight. These creatures are the embodiment of our nightmares, showing us the dark side of our imagination and our enduring dread of what lies in the dark corners of our world. Death is another common theme woven into the fabric of these legends. Many of these creatures are not just frightening, they are lethal. The Wendigo's hunger for human flesh, the Ahuizotl's drowning grip, and the Lamia's predatory nature all signify a profound fear of mortality. These beings represent the ultimate end, a reminder of our vulnerability and the fragility of life. Their existence in myths and folklore serves as a way for cultures to grapple with the concept of death, to personify it, and to make it a tangible, albeit terrifying, entity. The unknown also plays a crucial role in the stories of these creatures. The Kraken, with its unseen depths and mysterious motives, and the Jikininki, whose unholy resurrection defies natural laws, both represent our fear of what we cannot understand. They are a way to make sense of the chaos and mystery of the world. By creating monsters that dwell in the shadows or lurk beneath the surface, cultures provide a face to the enigmatic and the incomprehensible. These creatures are not just frightening, they are symbols of the vast and unexplored areas of human knowledge and experience. The cultural significance of these disturbing creatures is deeply tied to the values and fears of the societies that created them. In many cultures, these beings reflect the values and concerns of their time. For the Aztecs, the Ahuizotl was a manifestation of the dangers of the natural world, a reminder of the consequences of disrupting the balance of nature. For the Irish, the Banshee represented the social and familial bonds that were so crucial in their society, serving as a harbinger of death that underscored the importance of these connections. These creatures also reflect societal fears, often acting as cautionary tales. The Banshee's wail was not just a sign of death, but a reminder to respect and honor family ties. The Wendigo's insatiable hunger symbolized the destructive power of greed and excess. By personifying these fears in the form of monstrous beings, cultures were able to address and manage these anxieties in a way that was both vivid and impactful. Furthermore, these myths and legends often carry moral or ethical lessons. The Kukusekana story warns against vanity and the consequences of betrayal. The Lamia's evolution from a beautiful woman into a terrifying monster highlights the destructive power of envy and revenge. These stories use the frightening aspect of the creatures to deliver moral messages, making them both memorable and effective. In modern times, these ancient fears and values continue to resonate. The disturbing creatures of old have found new lives in contemporary horror and media, their stories adapted and reimagined to fit new contexts. The Kraken still haunts the depths of our oceans in movies and literature, while the Banshee's wail echoes in modern ghost stories. This persistence of the monstrous in popular culture underscores their lasting impact and the enduring nature of the fears they represent. Through these stories, we confront our most primal fears and anxieties. The disturbing creatures of mythology are not just relics of the past, they are reflections of our ongoing struggles with fear, death, and the unknown. They remind us that no matter how much we advance or how much we learn, there will always be shadows lurking at the edges of our understanding, waiting to challenge our perceptions and stir our deepest fears. In the dimly lit corners of art galleries and the shadowy pages of old books, there exists a haunting parade of disturbing creatures. These are not mere figments of imagination, but powerful symbols that have fascinated and terrified throughout history. Their chilling presence can be found in classical artworks, modern literature, and even ancient rituals and religious practices. From the grotesque to the surreal, these creatures have found their way into the annals of art and literature, serving as a canvas for humanity's darkest fears. Classical works often depict these beings with a sense of grandeur and menace. Medieval manuscripts and Renaissance paintings brim with monstrous figures that evoke both awe and horror. Take, for instance, the medieval depictions of the Chimera or the Kraken. In these artworks, they are rendered with meticulous detail, their monstrous forms frozen in terrifying poses that capture the viewer's gaze. These images were not merely artistic expressions, but reflections of the fears and values of their times, illustrating how deeply ingrained these creatures were in the cultural consciousness. In modern literature and art, disturbing creatures continue to exert their influence. Writers and artists have reimagined these beings, giving them new dimensions while preserving their core essence of fear. Contemporary horror novels and films often draw upon these ancient monsters, breathing new life into them while retaining the eerie power that made them compelling in the first place. The Kraken's tentacles still rise from the depths in modern sea tales, while the Lamia's transformation from a beautiful woman into a terrifying predator finds new expression in today's horror fiction. These reimagined creatures maintain their ability to disturb and captivate, showing how timeless and universal our fascination with the monstrous can be. Beyond their depiction in art and literature, these disturbing creatures held significant roles in ancient rituals and religious beliefs. They were not just stories to be told around the fire, but integral parts of spiritual and ceremonial life. In many cultures, these monsters were believed to inhabit the boundary between the human world and the divine or supernatural. Their presence in rituals often symbolized the forces that were beyond human control, embodying the fears that people sought to understand and appease. In ancient Aztec society, for example, the Ahuizotl was more than a mere monster, it was a representation of the dangers of nature and the supernatural. Rituals and offerings were made to appease the spirit of the waters, hoping to avoid the wrath of such a fearsome being. These practices were rooted in the belief that such creatures had real power over the natural world, and placating them was essential for maintaining balance and harmony. Similarly, in ancient Greece, the Lamia's terrifying presence in myth was also reflected in religious practices. The Lamia was often associated with the Underworld and was believed to be a creature that could traverse between the living world and the realm of the dead. Rituals and stories surrounding her were meant to explain and manage the fear of death and the unknown, making the monstrous more understandable and, in some ways, more controllable. These disturbing creatures also served as cautionary symbols in various rituals. They were used to convey moral lessons, represent societal fears, and reflect the values of their cultures. The Banshee's wail, for instance, was not only a harbinger of death, but a symbol of the importance of family and respect for the deceased in Irish culture. The monster's role in these rituals emphasized the need to honor and remember those who had passed away, reinforcing the societal values of the time. In sum, disturbing creatures in art and literature have a profound and lasting impact. They are not just figments of horror, but deep-seated symbols that reflect our darkest fears and cultural values. Their presence in ancient rituals and religious beliefs further underscores their significance, demonstrating how humanity has sought to understand and manage the terrifying aspects of existence through these monstrous figures. From classical artworks to modern adaptations, and from sacred rituals to popular media, these creatures continue to captivate and terrify, serving as a powerful testament to the enduring nature of our fears and the universal quest to confront them. In the flickering light of a midnight campfire, the tales of disturbing creatures come alive, and with them, a primal fear that grips the heart. What is it about these monsters that haunts our dreams and stirs our deepest anxieties? The answer lies not just in their nightmarish forms, but in the psychological triggers they activate within us. These creatures, from the venomous basilisk to the insatiable Wendigo, tap into something deep within the human psyche. Our fear of the dark, the unknown, and the grotesque is not just a reaction to their monstrous appearance, but a reflection of our innermost fears. Psychologists suggest that disturbing creatures serve as a mirror to our deepest anxieties. They are the embodiment of our fears of death, the unknown, and our own vulnerability. When we encounter these beings in stories or art, they provoke a visceral reaction, stirring up fears that we might otherwise keep buried. The fear of the unknown is particularly powerful. Creatures like the Kraken or the Jikininki represent forces beyond human understanding. Their mysterious nature and the ambiguity of their motives create a sense of dread. We fear what we cannot comprehend, and these monsters are the ultimate representation of that fear. They are unpredictable and beyond our control, and that uncertainty is what makes them so terrifying. Equally disturbing is the fear of death and mortality. Many of these creatures, such as the Lamia and the Banshee, are associated with death and the afterlife. They remind us of our own mortality and the inevitable end we all must face. The stories surrounding them often explore themes of death, the afterlife, and the supernatural, making them symbols of our existential fears. They personify the unknown aspects of death, transforming it into a tangible, albeit terrifying, presence. In modern media, these ancient fears continue to thrive, now amplified by contemporary storytelling techniques. Movies, books, and games have taken these disturbing creatures and reimagined them for a new generation. Their impact on modern media is profound, as they are used not just to scare, but to explore complex psychological themes. In films, for instance, the Kraken has evolved from a mythical sea monster into a terrifying force of nature that represents humanity's struggle against the uncontrollable. Movies like Pirates of the Caribbean depict the Kraken as a monstrous entity that embodies the chaotic and destructive forces of nature. This portrayal enhances the creature's role as a symbol of our fear of the unknown and the uncontrollable. Similarly, in literature, creatures like the Banshee and the Wendigo are used to explore themes of grief, loss, and madness. Books often delve into the psychological implications of these monsters, using them to reflect the inner turmoil of their characters. The Banshee's mournful wail, for instance, becomes a metaphor for the pain of losing a loved one, while the Wendigo's insatiable hunger represents the destructive power of unchecked desire. In the world of video games, disturbing creatures are not just antagonists but central to the experience. Games like Silent Hill and Resident Evil use these monsters to create an atmosphere of dread and unease. The interactive nature of games allows players to confront their fears head-on, immersing them in an environment where the monstrous and the psychological are intertwined. These games use disturbing creatures to explore the darker aspects of the human mind, creating an experience that is both thrilling and unsettling. The psychological impact of these creatures is immense. They tap into universal fears and anxieties, making them powerful tools for storytelling. Whether in ancient myths or modern media, these monsters continue to captivate and terrify because they touch on something deeply personal and profound. They remind us of our vulnerability, our fears of the unknown, and our ultimate mortality. Through their terrifying presence, they force us to confront our deepest fears and, in doing so, reveal something fundamental about the human experience. In the shadowy corridors of ancient mythologies, Greek and Norse legends harbor some of the most unsettling creatures ever conceived. These beings have haunted the imaginations of countless generations, their nightmarish forms and chilling stories revealing much about the fears and values of the ancient worlds. In Greek mythology, the landscape is littered with monsters whose very presence is enough to send shivers down the spine. Among these, the Gorgons stand out as a particularly terrifying trio. Medusa, the most famous of the Gorgons, is depicted as a woman with serpents for hair and a gaze that turns anyone who looks at her into stone. Her story is as tragic as it is horrifying. Once a beautiful maiden, Medusa was cursed by Athena and transformed into a monstrous figure as punishment. This curse turned her into a symbol of fear and isolation. The sight of her petrified victims serves as a grim reminder of her tragic fate and the power of divine retribution. Then there is the Chimera, a fearsome beast that breathes fire and has the body of a lion, the head of a goat, and the tail of a serpent. The Chimera's very existence defies the natural order, combining elements of different animals into one horrifyingly potent creature. In myths, it is often depicted as a terrifying adversary that must be vanquished by heroes, representing chaos and the unpredictable nature of the world. Its monstrous form and fiery breath embody the ancient Greeks' fear of the uncontrollable forces of nature and the chaos that lurks just beyond the boundaries of civilization. Norse mythology, with its own dark and chilling creatures, provides a stark contrast yet parallels the Greek pantheon in its intensity. The Jormungandr, or world serpent, coils around the earth, its massive body encircling the globe. It is said that when it releases its tail, Ragnarok, the end of the world, will begin. The world serpent's sheer size and the dread it evokes reflect the Norse view of fate and the inevitability of destruction. This creature is not just a monster but a harbinger of doom, embodying the ancient Norse belief in the cyclical nature of time and the inescapable end that awaits everyone. Another terrifying figure from Norse mythology is the Fenrir wolf. This monstrous wolf is destined to break free from its chains and devour Odin during Ragnarok. The Fenrir wolf's ferocity and impending role in the world's destruction symbolize the Norse fear of chaos and the uncontrollable forces that threaten to overwhelm order and civilization. Its myth is a stark representation of the existential dread that permeates Norse beliefs, emphasizing the constant struggle against forces beyond human control. In both Greek and Norse mythologies, these creatures are not merely monsters, they are embodiments of deeper fears and cosmic truths. The Gorgons, Chimera, Jormungandr, and Fenrir wolf are all symbolic representations of chaos, death, and the unknown. Their stories reflect the anxieties of their respective cultures about the forces that lie beyond human understanding and control. The Greeks used their monsters to explore themes of punishment, vengeance, and the nature of divine justice. Medusa's curse, the Chimera's chaotic existence, and other terrifying beings in Greek myths served as cautionary tales about the limits of human power and the inevitability of divine retribution. Similarly, the Norse tales of the world serpent and Fenrir wolf reflect a culture deeply concerned with fate, chaos, and the end of the world. These monsters were not just fearsome beasts but integral parts of a worldview that acknowledged the inevitability of destruction and the importance of confronting it with bravery and honor. The enduring fascination with these creatures lies in their ability to confront us with our darkest fears and our deepest questions about existence. They are not just relics of ancient imagination but reflections of the timeless human struggle against the forces that seek to upend our understanding of the world. In their monstrous forms and terrifying stories, they capture the essence of what it means to face the unknown, to grapple with the fears that lurk just beyond the edges of our understanding, and to find meaning in the face of overwhelming darkness. In the shadowy corners of Asian mythologies, a diverse array of disturbing creatures lurks, each with its own chilling backstory and menacing presence. These beings, drawn from rich cultural tapestries, embody fears both ancient and enduring, revealing the fears and anxieties that have plagued humanity across centuries. Among the most unsettling figures in Asian folklore is the Jiangshi, or the hopping vampire, from Chinese mythology. This ghastly creature is known for its stiff, corpse-like body that moves with an eerie, jerky motion, making it appear as though it is hopping. The Jiangshu's face is a deathly pale, often depicted with a mouth that hangs open, its eyes wide and unseeing. In traditional tales, the Jiangshu preys on the living, draining their life force with a ghastly touch. This horrifying vampire not only reflects fears of death and decay, but also embodies the anxieties of the supernatural world encroaching upon the living. It is a fearsome reminder of the consequences of not adhering to proper burial rites and the unsettling notion of the dead returning to claim the living. Turning to Japanese mythology, the Kukuseikana, or the slit-mouthed woman, presents a different yet equally terrifying specter. This ghostly figure, who appears with a mouth slit from ear to ear, preys on unsuspecting victims, asking them if she is beautiful. Regardless of their answer, the Kukuseikana's response is always fatal, revealing her horrifying smile and often leading to a gruesome end. This creature taps into deep-seated fears about appearance and judgment, making her a nightmarish symbol of both physical and psychological terror. Her story echoes through urban legends and modern horror, continually terrifying new generations with its blend of supernatural horror and human insecurity. In Indian mythology, the Rakshasas, particularly figures like the Rakshasi, strike fear into the hearts of those who hear their tales. These demons are known for their malevolent and shape-shifting abilities, capable of transforming into beasts or beautiful women to deceive and consume their victims. Their presence in myths serves as a dark reflection of humanity's fears about deception, lust, and the fragility of moral virtue. The Rakshas's power to transform and infiltrate represents the threat of evil hidden within seemingly benign forms, making them a chilling symbol of the darker aspects of human nature. Korean folklore introduces another horrifying entity, the Gwizan. These ghosts, often bound by unresolved issues from their lives, are known for their vengeful and restless nature. The Gwizan are typically depicted as sorrowful yet terrifying figures, their appearances reflecting the tragic and often brutal circumstances of their deaths. Their haunting presence reflects fears of unresolved trauma and the possibility of eternal unrest, offering a spine-chilling reminder of the consequences of unresolved grief and injustice. Across these various Asian mythologies, disturbing creatures serve not just as elements of horror but as profound symbols of societal fears and values. They tap into universal anxieties about death, the unknown, and the corruptibility of human nature. Each monster embodies different facets of human experience, from the terror of the supernatural encroaching upon daily life to the deep-seated fears of judgment and deception. In the modern world, these ancient creatures have experienced a revival, their terrifying tales adapted and reimagined for contemporary audiences. Films, television shows, and video games have breathed new life into these myths, transforming them into icons of modern horror. The Jiangshu, for instance, has appeared in numerous horror films, where its hopping gait and fearsome appearance are used to invoke a primal sense of dread. Similarly, the Kukuseikana continues to haunt the screen in modern horror movies, her grotesque smile and murderous intent providing a stark reflection of contemporary fears about identity and self-worth. This revival of disturbing creatures is not merely a rehash of old myths, but a testament to their enduring power and relevance. By adapting these ancient fears to new mediums and cultural contexts, modern creators tap into a rich vein of emotional and psychological horror that resonates across different eras. The essence of these creatures remains unchanged, terrifying and deeply unsettling, but their presence in modern culture highlights their timeless appeal and the universal fears they represent. The ongoing fascination with these creatures underscores the ways in which ancient fears continue to shape and influence modern storytelling. They remind us that, no matter how much time passes, the primal fears of death, the supernatural, and the darker aspects of human nature remain as compelling and relevant today as they were in the ancient past.